So we are live here with Sir Ray Avery of Amino Natural Nutrition, who is currently equity crowdfunding with Pledge Me. So thank you everybody for joining us today, and thank you Ray as well for joining. We really appreciate that. What we have here today is we have some pre-written questions for Ray. So if anyone who's watching has any questions at all, please pop them in the comments, and then we'll address them at the end of the live. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Emma. I'm the marketing manager at Pledge Me. We've been around for around 8 years, and we've helped over 1,500 campaigners fund the things they care about, including, at the moment, Amino Natural. So Amino Natural has raised over $46,000 so far on their equity campaign, and they have 6 days left. So yes, again, if anyone has any questions, please let us know, and we'll pop them. We'll get to them at the end. So let's start off with some introductions. Ray, would you like to introduce yourself, and can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how Amino Natural came to be?
Okay, well, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. So my background is I started off as an agricultural research scientist, actually, and then I became a pharmacologist. And more recently, I've been working on infant nutrition in developing countries. So the last 10 years, I've been working in Africa and Asia, working out how we can improve healthcare in those countries. And we came up with several different formulas. And then what happened was we realised there was a problem in our own backyard in New Zealand with micronutrient malnutrition with kids going to school hungry. So we then started to develop a product specifically for the New Zealand kids. So that's how we really sort of fell into the Amigo bar. But Amigo bars can be used in developing countries as well to help those kids with nutrition. So the best way to describe what it is it's like a infant formula in a bar, but it's infant formula for grown-up kids. It's not for babies. It's actually for kids between the ages of 4 and 14. And we put all the good stuff in it that makes them grow up and be really healthy. And I think we've got a clip shortly that we'll show, which one of the things we did was we went around the world and got them to say, what's the brand name we should have for this product that could be universal? And we went to Kuala Lumpur, and we went to Nepal, and we went to Africa and South America, and the only word that they could all say ubiquitously was Amigo, and it means friend. And so we developed the Amigo brand, and then of course we tested the product in different countries to see if they were acceptable in terms of the taste profiles and so on. And so we've done a lot of background work. Now we really want to get it into supermarkets to make it into a sustainable business.
Okay, thanks for that. And actually, so you mentioned before that, Amigo bars obviously have had a lot of research gone into them. You've been around the world to look into how you can develop these bars. And can you tell us a little bit more about what gives them the edge and what makes them a little bit different from other bars that you might have on the market?
Well, most of the bars that are in the market, or if not all of the bars in the market, fall into a confectionery bar. So basically they contain fruit, nuts and milk formulas and lots of sugar. Often up to 30% sugar is a typical average. But they don't contain all of the vitamins and minerals that you need for healthy growth and development. So we've got a magic mix that we put into it. So we take muesli bar and take all of the things that are not good in it, throw them away. Mm-hmm. So the 5 most common allergens that are in muesli bars that cause problems with kids, whether it be milk, nuts, tree nuts, and so on, we've left them out. And we use basically an oat-based formula, and then we add things to that formula. Our proteins are using a mixture of pea protein, which is the closest protein to an animal protein. If you've seen these artificial meats being produced, they're all produced from pea protein because it's got the most closest to animal proteins. And then we add to that our secret sauce, and that's a mixture of amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. And they make up for all the things that child may not get in their normal diet. We know from research done in New Zealand even 18 years ago that a lot of kids in New Zealand suffer from zinc malnutrition, and that affects their ability for cognitive skills, their mental health and well-being. And so we put in the things that are missing in the New Zealand diet. And so that's what makes the Amigo bars different. They're what we call a supplemented food. So they actually control more stringently than, say, a muesli bar. Anybody can put a muesli bar and say that it's got things in it. But we have to make sure that what's in this muesli bar is still there at the end of the expiry dates or the best before date. So this has got vitamin C in it, actually added to it. And in addition to all the flavours that we have are actually really cunning. They're real good times. So the flavours that we have, we swap out. All the flavours are due to is these little tiny jellies that we put into the bars. And what they comprise of is taking a whole litre of apple juice and whatever it may be mango or whatever. We just evaporate it down to very small concentrated things. You've got all these vitamins and minerals that are concentrated in those little fruit bites. They give the taste. But so there's no added sugar in the way of, we're not putting sugar or icing on them. And so we've titrated the sugar down to about 12% compared with, say, 30% in a normal bar. So that's what makes them different. Plus they give instant energy because a lot of the protein we have is these amino acids, which are, again, made from plant-based products, biofermentated. What that means is that, this is a very crude way of describing it. When you take a steak and you eat it, it'll take you 4 or 5 hours to digest it. And in digesting it, you'll lose up a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. So the net protein that you get is actually not huge. We take that protein molecules and we digest them with these enzymes, these plant-based enzymes, and break them down into small amino acids. And then they go straight across your tummy into your bloodstream. So our proteins are much more potent, if you will, and they give you instant energy. So within 20 minutes, the kids are settling down, and it's kind of, it sounds a bit sort of pharmaceutical, but it's actually not much different than a good infant formula in terms of the science behind it. So it's not just a muesli bar where we chucked in some things that we thought might be good for you. Actually, there's a lot of fundamental research that's gone behind it to make them the best that we can.
Over 10 years of research, you said before, so a lot of time as well invested in it. And from what you were saying about the little jelly tots things that you add in the bar, I can imagine it adds a lot of flavor for the children as well, which is maybe actually a nice segue into what we have next. Is that obviously in your pitch video you say that Amigo bars are designed by children for children as well, and we have a short clip that you sent me yesterday. Can you tell us a little bit about that clip before I show the audience?
Well, one of the things that we've done both in New Zealand and internationally is just get feedback from the children. So the children chose all the flavours that we finally had. Out of 50 flavours, they distilled it down. And then we kept testing them, trying to get the sugar down to the minimum amount that they would find acceptable. And then this is an outtake actually from another video, but this was something that happened at the end. And I had this throwaway comment, and I just said to them, because when we've been testing the Amigo bars, we've been asking kids how they feel about them, what do they taste like. And it was the best one that I ever heard was a young girl, she was 4 years old, and we asked her what an Amigo bar tasted like. And she said, like a rainbow. Oh. And that meant that I got the flavour right, because it does taste like a rainbow. It's not just one flavour, it's a whole series of flavours that burst in your mouth. But with these kids, I was asking them at the end of the thing, they'd had Amigos delivered to the school for 2 months, and we delivered the next lot of Amigo bars, and we just asked them how they felt. And I said to them, what do you think about Amigo bars? Do they taste okay? And I was asking them how they tasted. This is how they responded.
All right, let me play that. That's my cue.
We want Amigo bars!
Wow.
And that's probably the best customer feedback you can get.
Absolutely. So can you tell us actually a little bit more about that process that the kids had, for example, in choosing the flavors of the Amigo bars, etc.? How did you go about doing that?
Well, as I said, what we did originally was, and I think it's a funny business because we all tend to think we know what kids like. But, you think, oh, they like chocolate. blah, blah, blah. And so we thought we'd start from scratch, but just ask them what they like, theoretically. So we started off with 50 theoretical flavours, and it might be something like mango, strawberry, vanilla, and, black currant, and so on. And from that list, we distilled it down to the top 10, and we made those formulas with those flavours, and then we tried them on the kids to see if they actually liked the taste of those particular bars. And then from there, we took the top 4, and they were quite surprising in terms of what they liked. We thought they might like, I don't know, cocoa something or whatever, but when they were given a choice, so, the leading flavour was actually, things like mango and apple and strawberry and apple and so on. So we then made those and they tested them, and so that was the whole process. It wasn't us. What we do know about kids, and this is an important thing, is that as you get older, you lose your taste buds. So when we were trying them, we had quite a different selection of what we thought was good. The kids have more taste buds, they have multiple taste buds, like drinking too much alcohol and smoking or whatever so their intensity of and the other thing that we noticed was that we also recognised there would be some kids that we couldn't get to like the Amigo bars. There was just a percentage of them. So when we were doing trials, what we would do is do these trials in cafes. We said to them, we bribed them and said, you can do the trial and choose your flavour. And after that, you can have a free breakfast. Choose what you like. Okay. And so what we would do is we did the trial, and they wrote down things on the paper. And we had about 8% up to 12% kids who didn't like any of the flavours or any of the sugar content of the Amigo bars. And afterwards, that was the 12% who picked things like maple syrup and ice cream for breakfast with waffles. And the other people were having bacon and egg or something. So we had these kids that were addicted to fat and sugar, and there was no way that they would like these foods anyway. So that's a problem that's to do with we've got the second highest child obesity rate in the developed world in New Zealand, and that's because we've got all these children. And that's another reason for doing the Amigo bar, is if we can get good nutrition in them. These Amigo bars fill you up. If you have one of these, you want to have a bit of a sit down for a moment. They fill you up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think so. It was a very democratic process as well. And just for anyone watching who'd like to know more about what Ray just said regarding the statistics of obesity, we posted a video earlier to our page that you can check out for more information on that. And just another reminder as well to the audience that if you have any questions, just pop them in the comments. So my next question for you, Ray. What is the Sir Ray Avery Foundation, and how does it tie in with your equity campaign?
Well, we formed the Sir Ray Avery Foundation to look at healthcare on a global scale and look at the issues that were facing the world. And so we've been working on a number of projects over the last 10 to 15 years. And so one of the projects we work on is our low-cost infant incubator, which is in production in India. Unfortunately, due to the COVID thing, all the manufacturers have stopped production of incubators to make respirators for the pandemic. There's about 8 million people suffering from COVID, so that's stalled at the moment, but that will be out. Well, it's hard to know when that will be out, but that will save literally millions of people's lives. Historically, of course, we've been involved in a whole range of things like blindness prevention. So I developed some cool technology around making intraocular lenses for people with cataract surgery. And by the time my youngest daughter is my age, there'll be 100 million people who can see because of that technology that we developed. So we develop technologies that are global, scalable, and that's the importance of the Amigo bars. We weren't really interested in just making a bar for kids in New Zealand. We were making an international bar, and that guided us with how we formulated it. So this bar is one of the few bars, for instance, you can eat that doesn't make you thirsty. Because when you're in a developing country, water's so scarce. There are other products out there in the market. There's a product called Plumpy Nut, which is the most common product that's used for kids that are suffering from protein energy malnutrition. But it's full of sugar and milk solids, and it makes kids thirsty. So then they drink and they they eat the life-saving nutritional stuff, but then they eat contaminated water and they get diarrhea, so it really doesn't change things. Whereas our products, we've tested it in Africa and Asia over the last 2 years, and stability. So sometimes our bars have been left on the airport for 4 or 5 weeks because the FDA won't clear the product until it's had certain tests done. And then it could go off. So we've got the stability. We know that this is a bar that's got very low what we call water activity, so it doesn't grow bacteria, doesn't go off, very, very stable, and will last at least 18 months to 2 years, depending on the temperature. Still maintain all of its vitamin C and all the vitamins and minerals that we like. So that's what the foundation does. It makes game-changing technologies that are scalable. We're not necessarily a distribution agent, and that's the important thing. We're not somebody, we don't go out to all these countries, but we liaise with other aid organisations. Our job is to make tools to make things better. So we make the tools and then get them out to other people. So that's why we want to get them into supermarkets. Mum and dad can go down to the supermarket, buy a bar, and that means that child who gets that will have all the vitamins, minerals and supplements that they need for healthy development, physiologically and financially.
Okay, great answer. Again, just a reminder to everyone who's just joining us. We're here with Sir Ray Avery, and we're talking about their current equity campaign. If you have any questions at all, just pop them in the comments, and we'll get to them at the end. So can you tell us specifically more about what the funds will be used for? So from your equity campaign now?
Right, well, to get the product into supermarket, you have to fill up all the supermarkets. So that's a whole lot of the typical batch for us will be about 30,000 bars. But the supermarkets might need that amount of bars per month per supermarket, or whatever. And so the money we use for that manufacturing process to get the bars manufactured, distributed to the supermarkets. The good news is we make a profit out of the bars. We can then take that profit, put it into the charity, and use that profit to give kids who can't afford to buy them a free Amigo bar. So we don't quite know what that ratio looks like at the moment, but with the other donations that we get, I think we can make a huge impact on kids across New Zealand. And when I say across New Zealand, I think that's an important word, because one of the big problems you have with most of these interventions that we have with other organisations is that they're making prepared foods, which you can't transport. We've got one school which is out of an hour's drive out of Auckland, and there's no way that they're large enough to have a school lunch program, and there's no way that somebody can actually eat my lunch who do a great job of delivering subsidised lunches to kids. There's no way that they can afford to drive out there every day for an hour back. But we supply them with Amigo bars, and we supply them only once every 3 months, and the kids can just pick them up and eat them when they feel that they need to have one, So kids don't have to go to school hungry if we can get Amigo bars to them.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. Also, with what you were saying before, with the Sir Ray Avery Foundation, this equity campaign obviously has a lot behind it. I'll move on to the next question now, which is also tied in with this. Why did you choose the equity crowdfunding route as opposed to maybe other forms of investment raising?
Well, that's a very good question. There's 2 reasons. One is Pledge Me team, because we spent a lot of time. We did a lot of due diligence around the options that we had. So there were other crowdfunding agencies out of Australia and wherever, and there were other more commercial crowdfunding organisations. And what we looked at from our algorithm perspective, we were trying to build an Amigo army that would support us. We didn't want to have perhaps 1 or 2 what we call venture capitalists putting in money. We wanted to have a whole raft of people who felt that they had a sense of say in how we look after our kids in New Zealand. So we're trying to build an Amigo army, and they would also be part of our marketing team, because they would. So if we could, rather than have 1 or 2, we have intellectual property valued at least $3.5 million in addition to the valuation for cash flow from the sale of the product. So it would be a reasonably attractive venture for a venture capitalist company. But they wouldn't necessarily have added value to the business. They would have taken their investment, sent it off to their shareholders. But we felt if we could get the ordinary New Zealander to look after their kids, we could get a movement. So it's more about a movement, the Amigo army. That's what we're aiming for. That's why we... one thing we can say is that our due diligence process paid off in the sense that I don't think we could have asked for better support from the Pledge Me team, so thanks for that.
No worries, thank you. Always good to get some feedback as well, so perfect. Maybe the next question regarding your equity campaign and maybe Amino Natural at large, or your whole concept. Have you faced any particular challenges, and how have you overcome those challenges?
Well, I guess the most difficult challenge is actually just right now with this time of the year where everybody's thinking about going on holiday and going. So we've had an enormous amount of support in terms of moral support, both in social media, LinkedIn, and so on. And but it hasn't necessarily transcribed into capital investments in the campaign to date. And I think there's a number of reasons for that. I think that COVID's had a big effect on people in terms of discretionary income. Also, I think it's changed the mood of people. There's a feeling. I think Christmas has been brought forward in the sense people are getting ready to go away, but they think they've earned a bit of a holiday. So it may be that the timing is not perfect for a capital raise across any of the... I've just been looking at other capital raises, and things seem to be a bit slower than they might otherwise be. And I think that's just part of this timing process. It's got no reflection on the crowdfunding platform or our team that are working vigorously and getting a lot of noise out there. But I would ask people, one of the things about Christmas is that we think about it as a time of giving, and right now there's a lot of food companies donating food so that kids have a great Christmas. My big plot is that that's fine if you look after them just for a week over Christmas, but we want to look after them forever. So if you want to look after them forever and have a sustainable business, then help us to get across the line. It'll pay dividends, and it'll make a lot of really neat, cool Kiwi kids who've got the right nutrition be really, really smart and vibrant. Yeah,
that's a great call to action, actually. Help to take care of kids forever.
Yeah.
So what are some of your personal highlights in the Amino Natural journey so far?
The personal highlights are always the kids. I mean, you make something, and it's a bit like being an artist. You do a picture, and when I was a young man, I was an artist. I really wanted to paint, and I taught myself to paint, and I made this beautiful painting of an egg, because an egg's the most difficult thing to paint because it's just shading. It's just white. How do you make it look like an egg, It's just shading, and I spent ages on this, and I did a picture of an egg sitting on a chair, and it was this oak chair, and I put this egg on this oak chair, and it was fabulous. It was magic realism, and people would be stunned when they went by. They go, "Oh, look at that. So beautiful." And what you want is that reaction from somebody who eats your Amigo bar. You want somebody to go, "Oh, that's fantastic." And with kids, it's difficult because they're the most honest species on the planet. But they don't like something, they just say, "Don't like that," but they don't necessarily, even when they have something they like, they're not going to go, generally. But food's food for them. It's like a fuel that they have. If you ask them for it, they're like, "Would you like an Xbox for Christmas?" They go, "Yes, I've got one." And so they get, so watching the kids. But what happens is what has happened on many occasions, and particularly in developing countries where the kids are more culturally enthusiastic. So if you take an ordinary Kiwi kid at one of the major schools in New Zealand, there's a filtering mechanism that goes on where they all are taught to sit quietly at assembly, and so they're not naturally. But if you go to Ghana or somewhere, these people are dancing, like at assembly. And when we give the kids those things, they go off. They do go off. They actually eat them and go, wow. Because for them, it's just extraordinary to have something that tastes so rounded and so beautiful. Because their normal diet is pretty just beans and stuff, So when they get something that really excites them, remember, of course, that a lot of kids in New Zealand, their palates are used to high sugar stuff. So mostly what we get is, when we had the thing, we had like it, love it, like it, whatever. And we would have probably only, 25% of kids saying they absolutely love it. But we would have 75% of kids saying, I like it. Mm. And so, but when you get one of those kids that likes it, just going off and saying, I love it. Well, for me, the real test, though, is often, although these kids might say, I don't love it, they're the ones that will inevitably come back the next day and ask for some more. Mm. So you're asking the wrong question. Yeah. They'll come back and we have incredible loyalty rates in the sense that once the kids get them, in fact, I have a stability oven in my laboratory at home, and I used to put the bars in there and heat them up to 40 to 50 degrees centigrade to see how quickly they degrade. And I went in there on one occasion and there were no bars. And I've got two young girls, and I said, what happened to the bars? I said, no, we don't know. And they told me and stolen them, and that told me that we had the formula right. They didn't mean to. They just had one day, and then they don't get the next one. And when I warned them that they shouldn't do it, they went in and got them. So, but they may not say, I love them. I know I like them, they're okay.
If they have another one, though, that's a good test.
Yeah, I love them.
All right, awesome. That's great to hear. So now we're coming near towards the end of the Facebook Live. So maybe you can tell us a little bit. So obviously pledging is going to be one of the best way possibly to support your equity crowdfunding campaign. But let's say if people are not in a position to pledge, for example, how else can they help you to reach your target and achieve your goals?
Well, of course, you can donate if you go on to Amigo Nutrition. You can make a donation there or donation to the Ray Avery Foundation. But we would prefer people to make a pledge or get friends together to make a pledge because we're talking about long-term sustainability. Mm. What had happened was that we given away thousands of free Amigo bars because the kids want them and need them. But the demand for the bars has exceeded our donor capacity. And the reality is it's not sustainable to just keep going back to the same donors asking for more money for more bars. Mm. And some people might even argue that mum and dad should be providing those nutritional things. Mm. So what we've done is jump over that and say, let's have a social enterprise where we make money from the sale of bars that kids want to buy and love, and then the rest of the money that we get in goes to giving free Amigo bars forever. Mm.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a great idea. So I'll just quickly check if anybody has any questions. So if anyone watching has any questions, please post them on the live. In the meantime, I'll just show the equity campaign. Ray, you can't see it at the moment, but I'm just showing the audience your equity campaign page. So as you can see, you can make a pledge over here. Please make sure that you're logged in before you do so. You can also check any questions that have been posted and answered by Ray as well, and check the full information memorandum here too, as well as a letter from the founder. So if anybody has any final questions, I'll just have a look over here. It doesn't seem to be at the moment. So if anyone has any questions after this, please feel free to message the Pledge Me team or Ray. How can they contact you or your team?
You can just go into the Ray Avery Foundation, just start in Ray Avery, and you'll find the contact details there. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yes, please share the campaign with anyone who you know you would be interested in this campaign. Additionally, if you yourself could be an interested investor, please check it out. Post any questions that you have, and we'll answer them. So thank you for everyone watching today, and thank you very much, Ray, for joining us as well.
My pleasure. You have a great evening.
You
Thanks for
too
your help.
as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.